I want to ask you because you go on CNBC, I've seen you on Squawk Box, and also I think Face the Nation. And one of the things you said, I really wanted to follow up on it because you said there are different ways to approach vaccination. You said it's not a binary decision. Do I vaccinate my kid or not? Well, sadly, it kind of is for a lot of parents out there. And let's just talk about places like the Los Angeles School District, where it is a binary choice. They don't get to do any of the things you were saying on Face the Nation. You said you could potentially wait for the lower dose vaccine to be available. No, they can't. They've got to do it. You said if your child has already had COVID, one dose may be sufficient. That's not true. They're not allowed to do just one dose. They have to do 2 doses. That's what's been required of them. And I think I love like your push for flexibility, but it's not what's happening. It's parents are being mandated to get 2 doses, the full doses that are available right now, not a lower dose, the 30 micrograms for the kids right now, or they cannot go to school. That's not fair, is it?
Well, look, I've come out and said that I'm highly skeptical of federal mandates. I think that, decisions around vaccination, to the extent that they're collective choices, and they are collective choices because your decision to get vaccinated or not does affect your community, your workplace. To the extent that these are collective choices, I think they should be made at as local a level as possible. So I think local school districts, states, mayors are well within their discretion to establish mandates for their local communities. I think that's where these decisions should ultimately be made. So I wouldn't second guess any state or mayor or employer who feels that the only way to protect their local population, their workplace, is through mandated vaccination because of the unique circumstances of the environment in which they operate. I think at a macro level, there are different approaches you can take to vaccinating a child. And for parents who have concerns, whether those concerns are grounded in clear science or not, people just have general apprehensions, you can make a choice to extend between the 2 doses. You can make a choice in a child who's already had COVID, perhaps to give 1 dose. That might be appropriate. There'll be a lower dose vaccine on the market, hopefully at some point soon. The FDA is meeting on October 26th to discuss that vaccine. That could potentially be used in children who are smaller in size, who might be, above the age of 12, but biologically, not as progressed or smaller. So there's different approaches that you can take in consultation with your pediatrician to try to address theoretical. Whatever concerns you may have.
I appreciate you talking. It is too, because the parents in LA do not have that choice. They've got to stick a vaccine in their 70-pound 12-year-old. That's the same as they put in their 200-pound husband.
Right. You're talking about one city in one part of the country.
Well, I'm living it myself. I'll be honest with you. I have my kids in private school here in Connecticut. They don't yet have to do it because, as I said, my oldest is 12. But that's only because the Pfizer vaccine, your vaccine, hasn't yet. Do
you want me to defend?
It hasn't yet been permanently approved. So I'm just saying, I'm about to face this because if I don't get my kid vaccinated by the time he's 16, he's expelled.
So why don't you give me the answers and instead of the questions? Because do you want me to defend the city of Los Angeles or criticize them? Because I'm not involved in making policy in Los Angeles or California.
Well, I'm wondering how you feel, because what you said is we shouldn't second guess like a mayor, but this isn't, not talking about a mayor mandating it for children or for adults. We're talking about a school district mandating it for children or they're expelled. And you and I both know that the damage of expelling a kid, forcing him not to attend school, or, even better scenario would be via remote, but that's not even offered. That's not okay. Right. So it's like,
but this is the broader question. Those who are skeptical of federal mandates, and I gather you're skeptical of federal mandates. I'm skeptical of federal mandates, and I've been critical of the Biden administration's decision to mandate this on private businesses down to 100 employees. Are you also skeptical of local businesses, local towns making decisions for their community? And that's what it sounds like. See, that's where I draw the line.
I don't like the mandates.
I think if we're going to, first of all, we mandate vaccine as part of going to school.
I know. And I got my kids all those, but they're new. This one's new.
Well, by the time that this one is actually incorporated into the vaccine schedule, it's going to be a long way off. California moved quickly here. I wouldn't expect many other parts of the country to mandate vaccination.
It's happening right now. I'm telling you right now, it's happening in private schools and across the country. It's happening in my own private school right now. And by the way, you mentioned the flu. They don't mandate the flu vaccine, and that did kill more kids last year than COVID.
Oh, a lot of school districts do mandate the flu vaccine, actually.
It's not a nationwide thing, and it's not a school district wide thing. And the flu vaccine's been around for a lot longer.
So what's your point? I mean,
My point is we know more about the flu vaccine not causing long-term problems with children. It's not as experimental. I don't know what the reports are, but I certainly haven't heard anything about myocarditis caused heart inflammation in children from the flu vaccine. But the flu vaccine in most school districts is not mandated. It's not.
Yeah, and this won't be either, Megyn. You're talking about select school districts. This is by the time that this is incorporated into a childhood immunization schedule, and I believe it eventually will be. It's going to be down the road when you have multiple vaccines on the market, fully approved by the FDA. Right now, we do not have that. So I wouldn't. I think the districts that you're talking about are the outliers. I'm not responsible for making their policies, and I didn't come on your show to defend their policies. I don't run the city of Los Angeles. Or the
whether you like these mandates or you don't.
I'm telling you what I think. What I think is that the federal government should give discretion to states, local businesses, mayors to make these decisions on behalf of their communities. That's where I think public health decision making should be made. Mm-hmm. That should be the locus of the decision making whenever possible. And to the extent that some districts are making decisions that you may not agree with, what do you want? The federal government to come in and block them? What are you for? The federal government doing this or not doing this? I'm for the federal government leaving discretion to private communities to do this. When the private communities step in to do it, even if they make a decision that you might not agree with, I don't want to take away their discretion to do that. That's where we've traditionally left these decisions.
I get it. I get that. But I, as a parent, am upset that the principal of the school is sticking his nose in between me and my child. That should be a decision for me and my pediatrician. And that's what gets me upset, right? Like I subjected myself to the federal government.
Well, so there's a more fundamental question. I mean, is the decision to get vaccinated a collective decision, or is it an individual choice? These are not just individual choices. The reason why we mandate vaccines in the first place and have a childhood immunization schedule is because decisions that people make affect the community. So communities set standards about these kinds of actions. And that's why we have a childhood immunization schedule. Have some schools moved ahead of where the CDC is in terms of mandating this? Yeah, a handful have, and you're citing them right here. Most, but I don't believe.
You don't think it's coming at a CDC level? You don't think so? Because Dr. Fauci's already saying he's in favor of school mandates for the vaccine.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect to see the CDC incorporating this into the childhood immunization schedule. Like I said, until there's multiple approved vaccines on the market, that's a ways off at this point.